Denmark, which controls Greenland, it's not doing its job and it's not being a good ally. So you have to ask yourself, how are we going to solve that problem, solve our own national security? If that means that we need to take more territorial interest in Greenland, that is what President Trump is going to do, because he doesn't care about what the Europeans scream at us. He cares about putting the interests of America's citizens first.
America first or Russian obligations? The unintended or strategic geopolitical alignment. The America First policy, championed by President Donald Trump and advocated recently by Vice President J.D. Vance, ostensibly promotes U.S. national interests through assertive territorial and diplomatic approaches. Yet, paradoxically, this policy aligns more closely with Russian geopolitical objectives under Krasnov's strategic influence. Historically, the United States cultivated stable and productive alliances, notably with Denmark and Canada, fostering regional stability through robust diplomatic, economic, and military cooperation. Denmark, responsible for Greenland's foreign and security policies, has remained a steadfast partner, allowing strategic military installations such as Thule Air Base, essential for U.S. security interests in the Arctic. This cooperation reinforced NATO's cohesion, creating a formidable deterrent against adversarial powers, notably Russia. However, recent developments have dramatically shifted this stability. Vice President Vance's assertions that Denmark inadequately manages Greenland's strategic importance have provoked significant diplomatic discord. Such statements underpin Trump's aggressive territorial stance toward Greenland, framed within the America First rhetoric. Ostensibly driven by concerns about China's and Russia's growing Arctic activities, these actions, however, have inadvertently alienated key allies. Russia's strategic interests in the Arctic region are long-standing and comprehensive. Under Krasnov, Russia aims explicitly at diminishing NATO unity, exploiting any diplomatic rift between member nations. Greenland, given its pivotal geographic location and resource wealth, is particularly vulnerable to Russian ambitions. By inciting territorial concerns and diplomatic tensions through the America First policy, the U.S. unintentionally furthers Russian strategic goals, enabling Russia to pursue its geopolitical objectives with less collective opposition. The reactions from Denmark and Greenland to America's renewed territorial interests have been swift and unequivocal. Denmark firmly stated that Greenland is not for sale, with Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen publicly rebuking U.S. assertions. Greenlandic authorities, strongly driven by nationalist sentiments, have responded negatively, perceiving U.S. overtures as intrusive threats to their autonomy and sovereignty. Far from bolstering U.S. geopolitical positioning, Trump's aggressive strategy has pushed Greenland further toward autonomy, eroding U.S. influence precisely where Russia desires increased fragmentation. Similarly, Canada, traditionally a close and critical ally in Arctic security matters, now views American actions toward Greenland with growing suspicion and unease. Canadian leaders fear potential implications for their own territorial sovereignty, seeing parallels between U.S. interests in Greenland and potential threats to Canadian Arctic claims. Consequently, what once was a robust partnership built on mutual trust and shared security objectives has devolved into mutual wariness and diplomatic hesitancy, directly benefiting Russian interests by weakening NATO's collective front. This geopolitical shift toward Russian objectives emerges starkly when examining NATO cohesion. NATO thrives on solidarity and collective action, both of which require stable diplomatic relations among member nations. The divisive consequences stemming from the America First strategy have diminished collective trust, reducing NATO's effectiveness in responding to Russian and Chinese activities in the Arctic region. As the U.S. increasingly isolates itself diplomatically from essential NATO partners, Russia capitalizes on the resulting strategic vacuum, enhancing its influence and operational capabilities. Ultimately, though no explicit evidence definitively proves direct Russian orchestration of the Trump administration's Greenland policy, the tangible outcomes unmistakably align with Russian strategic interests. America's aggressive territorial stance, while presented as a defense of national sovereignty and security, paradoxically serves Russian geopolitical ambitions by fragmenting NATO alliances, fostering diplomatic isolation, and diminishing Western influence in critical geopolitical regions. In conclusion, the America First policy, intended as a shield for national interests, instead has inadvertently become a tool that advances Russian strategic objectives under Krasnov's broader geopolitical framework. This misalignment underscores the critical necessity for strategic diplomatic awareness and renewed commitments to allied partnerships to ensure American policies do not unwittingly empower adversarial agendas.